What's crack-a-lackin'? Welcome in to My Mind is a Weapon Fantasy Football Show.
Welcome into episode 179, everybody. I am your host, Sleazeball. Today's episode is going to be my Week 15 top 36 wide receiver ranking tiers heading into the fantasy football playoffs. It is absolute crunch time right now, guys. Before we dive into it, make sure you smash that like, make sure you smash that subscription, turn that bell on. It helps me out a ton. I cannot thank you guys enough for all the support this season. And I'm going to give you players that are already out because I missed Thursday's game. I'll give you the players that are injured, and I'll give you defense statistic breakdowns of why my rankings are the way they are. Now, if you guys want to check out my quarterback, my running back, all that is out already. Waiver wire, smash starts, all that stuff is out. I'll get my tight end video out after this as well. So I have all my rankings on this week. It was a late start. Next week, I will get it out before Thursday. I promise you that. And then I'll be live tonight, tomorrow, Sunday, and Monday. And if you guys can't make any of the live streams, you can always drop any comment you want down below. That is one of my goals as a content creator, is to help you guys get to the point we're at now in the fantasy playoffs and get you that championship in 2 to 3 weeks from here. So let's dive into my wide receiver rankings for week 15. So if you guys are new to the channel, here is my wide receiver board for week 15. Baller tier at the top, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, tier 5. At the bottom here, you'll see George Pickens, who is out for the week, and the 49ers game, Rams game that I obviously missed. So Juan Jennings, Debo Samuel, Puka Nacua. And man, if you guys started Cooper Kupp like I did in 5 leagues, we are just ghosting him out. It's just a terrible start. We have to deal with it, and we got to find our way around that goose egg that he dropped. So we're going to start off with the baller tier here. Number 1, Jamar Chase is absolutely the god of fantasy football at wide receiver, guys. You have to just look at these numbers. You know right now that Jamar Chase has 317.4 PPR points in fantasy football. And the number 2 wide receiver behind him is Justin Jefferson at 235. That is a 80-point difference. This man is the absolute demon. He's chasing the triple crown, and the Bengals are going to pass the ball at will. So no matter what, every single week, probably from here on out, I'm going to have Jamar Chase at the top because he is just absolutely the guy. Now, sticking with the Bengals game, we're going to talk about both here. So we got T. Higgins up here as well. The Cincinnati Bengals this week, they're fighting for their lives, guys. So their playoff hopes are not completely dead yet, and they're going to get the Tennessee Titans this week. This is going to be another matchup where the Titans offense hasn't really moved the ball. The Bengals defense is bad, so if you score, it will. But when I'm looking at the Tennessee Titans versus the wide receiver, they're very good. They're number 4. They're 28.5. They're 18th in the red zone. They only allow 124.5 passing yards, which is second best in the NFL, and an 80% chance of a touchdown. But when you're playing the Bengals, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, I do not care. They are going to try to win every single game from here on out to keep their season alive. So I'm going to put Jamar Chase at 1 and T. Higgins at 17. Wide receiver number 2, we're going to talk about both. Justin Jefferson. Jordan Addison is absolutely balling, but I really just don't trust his game. Like, I know that he's the wide receiver 2. I know he's dropping touchdowns like crazy lately. They're playing the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears defense right now on the season is actually gotten worse down the stretch here. I know they're missing a couple pieces, safeties and stuff like that. They're missing guys that I wanted there the whole year, but they're number 2 versus the wide receiver still. They only give up 28.2 points. They rank 11th in the red zone, 137.3 passing yards, 80% chance of a touchdown. But what you have to look at here also is just, let's look at the past 4 weeks as well. So they're giving up 34.4 just in the past 4 weeks. And on the season, they're giving 28.2. So they have gotten worse. Sam Darnold's been on an absolute tear lately. I think it's more of a Justin Jefferson game here than I do a Jordan Addison game. He's got to pop here. I mean, Jordan Addison's getting touchdowns like crazy. If you need to flex Jordan Addison, I'm still not against it. It's just not a very good matchup for him. Wide receiver number 3 coming in is going to be Amon-Ra St. Brown. We are going to pull up Jameson Williams as well because he is on here. If I can find him right now, I think I have him around 28. There we go, 28. So this game right now, guys, the Detroit Lions, this is the game of the week, right? You get the Buffalo Bills. You get the over-under at a massive, massive amount of 54.5. They think points are going to fly, as do I. J-Mo is due to pop a bomb in this game. If you know, that's always boom or bust for him, kind of. Amon-Ra is due to get rolling here. This is going to be a high-scoring game. You're going to be in the dome. There's no weather. Jared Goff and Josh Allen are going to be going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I like Amon-Ra at 3 and J-Mo at number 828. And when I'm looking at Buffalo's pass defense, right? So they were a top pass defense, but as of late, they've dropped a little bit here. So when you look at the Buffalo Bills, they give up 31.1. That ranks 11th for the wide receiver position, 139 yards, and point 0.8 or 80% chance for one touchdown for a wide receiver. Now, if we go to the past 4 weeks here, right, because you just had that Rams shootout game, they're obviously giving up 38.43 in the past 4 weeks. So that is a 7 point average difference. That is 28 points more in the past 4 games they've been giving up to the wide receiver. This is why I think this game is going to be a shootout and why I like the Detroit Lions so much this week. Wide receiver number 4, Nico Collins. We are also going to grab Tank Dell. He's down here at the bottom as well. And this is another game you want to target here. So I forget where I have Tank here, if I can find him. Oh, Tank Dell. Okay, so Tank Dell I kept out of my top 36. I was going to put him at the bottom. I thought he was 35, 36. He's not. So Nico Collins, number 4, you get the Miami Dolphins. And all these top guys, these superstar top 4 guys, they do all have tough matchups, but they're just superstars. So the Miami Dolphins give up 28.8, which ranks 5th. They're 10th in the red zone, and 133.2 yards, which is top 10, a 60% chance of a touchdown. But when you're looking at the game, you're looking at an over-under of 46.5. I think it's going to be way higher than that. I did not buy that. If I was a betting man on spreads right now, I would take the over on this game for sure as like one of my locks. Remember, gamble responsibly. Nico Collins is going to hit a bomb in this game. I can just feel it. I know they have tough corners in Fuller and Ramsey as well, but still, this is going to be a game where both teams are fighting for their life. The Dolphins 6-7 trying to stay in it. Texans trying to secure their playoff spot at 8-5 and get back on track here. Now, wide receiver number 5. Sorry, just waking up. We're getting it rolling here. Tyreek Hill is on a mission right now. I'm going to grab Jalen Waddle as well. We're going to stick with the same game, the Houston Texans. And I love this game, guys. So Tua Tagovailoa in his past 3 games has 300-plus yards in each game and multiple TDs in both games. He is absolutely balling. He's been the QB1 over the past 3 weeks. The Miami Dolphins are starting to get it rolling. I have them winning this game, and they're playing the Houston Texans. So the Houston Texans defense, if they have any weak spot on the season, it is versus the wide receiver. They are 27th, giving up 36.7 points, 159.9 yards, which is middle of the pack. But they give up 1.5 TDs per game to the wide receiver, which is second worst in the NFL. Expect Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill to have big days here. I have Tyreek at 5 and Jalen Waddle at 30, just because Tyreek is absolutely balling as of late in the past 2 weeks, found the end zone twice and tearing it up. Wide receiver number 6, this is where I get bold. This is what I do. This is why you follow my channel. This is why you subscribe right here, because I like to make calls like this that are crazy. I'm going to go with Courtland Sutton. Now, Courtland Sutton gets the fantasy football pot of gold as I'm pulling them up here. Hang on. So I have like my charts, players, and stuff like that. So I have like 5 screens I'm going through. So Courtland Sutton, guys, gets the Indianapolis Colts. If you've been, coming back to my channel, been here before, you know that I call the Indianapolis Colts your fantasy football pot of gold. They can't stop the quarterback. They can't stop the running back. They can't stop the wide receiver. They can't stop the tight end. They can't stop anything. So you're going to get this game. You're at Denver. You're going to get their 17th versus the wide receiver, giving up 32.1, 24th in the red zone, 152.5 yards, and a 70% chance of a touchdown. And what you have to look at here is Courtland Sutton, since him and Bo Nix started balling together in week 8, right? So he's had 11, 10, 9, 8, 10, 9. Averaging 10 targets a game, averaging 100, almost 90 to 100 yards per game, 3 touchdowns out of his past 6, so a 50% chance for him. The volume is going to be here in bunches. The Colts cannot stop the wide receiver, and he is their go-to guy, and that's why he is on my smash play. That's why he is in my top 6 wide receivers this week. And they really have no one else. I mean, you could say Marvin Mims, Troy Franklin, Bailey. I don't trust Humphreys or any of them. It's going to be the Courtland Sutton show here. Number 7, time to get wild here again. I'm going to pump up Garrett Wilson to the top. This is the highest I've ranked Garrett Wilson since the beginning of the season. And this is why. This is your fantasy football pot of gold. This is the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jacksonville Jaguars, guys. I need to grab Devontae Adams also here. I think I have him around 17, 18 area. Oh, sorry, 22. Okay. So, like I said, your fantasy football pot of gold, Jacksonville Jaguars, like the Colts, they can't stop anything. And Trevor Lawrence is out for the season. You now lost Evan Ingram, right? And their run game is shot, but they give up 37.2 points to the wide receiver, which is 29th. That is terrible. They give up 175.2 yards, which is bottom 10, and 1 touchdown a game. I expect Garrett Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, Breece Hall, every single one of these guys to go off in this game against this awful defense, and Jacksonville's season is pretty much over, guys. Wide receiver number 8 is going to be CD Lamb. And Cooper Rush has been serviceable. I mean, since Dak Prescott's gone down, Cooper Rush has kind of kept the Cowboys in the game. Their defense is getting healthier. I know they just lost Overshown, so that kind of hurts them there. But you just have to look at CD Lamb with Cooper Rush, and it's still not as bad as you thought it was going to be. So 3 out of the past 4, he's almost averaged 20 points a game. He did have the bad game against the Giants where he got banged up and played 67% of the snaps. But when he's out there at full time, he's at 18, 16, 22. And now you get the Carolina Panthers. So when you're looking at the Carolina Panthers defense here, they've gotten way better versus the wide receiver, but they're not really good versus the wide receiver. Why have they gotten way better versus the wide receiver? Because they can't stop the run. They're 32nd everywhere against the run, so their wide receiver numbers skew up to the top because all they do is get the ball just ran on them. So they rank 10th versus the wide receiver, giving up 30.8, 136.5 yards, and 90% chance of a touchdown. But what I want to show here is you have to look at the past 4 weeks as well. So when I'm looking at the Carolina Panthers in the past 4 weeks versus the pass, they've gotten even better, right? So you look at it like, oh, it's a tough defense. But then you go over here and you look at them versus the run, and they're 32nd, most yards, 32nd. So I don't buy that their defense is a top 10 pass defense. I'm still smashing CD Lamb at all costs this week. Number 9 is going to be A.J. Brown, and I'm going to grab Devonta Smith, who I do not like this week at all either. So, and A.J. Brown, this is the lowest I've ranked him all year. It's tough right now. There's a lot of beef going on between him and Jalen Hurts and the coaching staff and how much they're passing the ball. And, the Eagles have turned into kind of a Saquon Barkley show here, which really has been hurting the Eagles pass catchers in this season. So I'm going to pull this up here as well as we're going through it here. So I want to pull up Hurts because I know his passing attempts and passing yards are really low. So this is what you have to look at. And Hurts is still putting up about 17-point average, over the past 4 weeks, right? But in the past 4 weeks, or let's go 5 weeks, right? Let's go all the way back to week 6. He's never had 30 pass attempts since week 6, which is crazy. Now, in the past 3 weeks, he's never had over 23. He's never had over 200 yards passing in the past 3. And so this is like the Eagles' new, script for success here is just pound Saquon Barkley, and we'll let our defense grind it out, and we'll win the game. So when you're looking at the matchup versus Pittsburgh, this is one of the best defenses there is. I mean, even versus the pass, they're very good. They're number 8. They give up 30 points a game to the wide receiver. They're number 12 in the red zone, 148 yards and a 70% chance of a touchdown. And it's a good run D as well. And I just think it's going to be a ground and pound game. That's why I have A.J. Brown lower and Devonta Smith. I know he got the touchdown last week, but still I don't trust his volume coming off his injury. Good to see him score there. But Eagles offense is just hurting these wide receivers, man. They are just not passing the ball. Heading down to wide receiver number 10, coming back off injury, hasn't been the Mike Evans that I thought he was going to be. I'm not going to lie. I know he's been banged up a little bit here and there, playing through it, getting the Bucs back in the game. But he had his pop game last week versus Carolina for 25, which is why CeeDee Lamb could do the same thing. But he's had 10 and 11 since then, 69 yards, 68 yards, not the Mike Evans show you want. You're getting the Los Angeles Chargers this week in a big, big game, 7-7, 8-5, both teams fighting for their playoff life. The Chargers are good versus the wide receiver. They rank 13th, giving up 31.2. They rank 15th in the red zone, 142.6 yards and 1 touchdown a game. I'm hoping Big Mike finds the end zone here, and honestly, I want the Bucs to kind of win this game, to be crazy to say. But at the Chargers, it's going to be tough. And Mike Evans, I'm still keeping him in the top 10. Number 11 is going to be Drake London. And I think Darnell Mooney is down here at the end as well at 33. So this matchup here is amazing. They get the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders team is absolutely shot. I mean, their season is over completely. They're looking for Shadur Sanders here, probably with the top pick here heading into the season. But the Raiders are not really that bad versus the wide receiver. They rank 15th, giving up 31.8. But where the Raiders really struggle versus the wide receivers in the red zone, which is where big body Pitts, big body London, maybe Mooney could get a little, gadget play here for the red zone. They rank 28th. They give up 7.5 points to the wide receiver. They also give up 138.4 yards on the season, which is about top 50, 14th overall, and number and one TD a game. So Kirk Cousins has been struggling, guys. So Josh Allen just broke fantasy football and dropped the record of all time, dropped 51.9 points last week. Kirk Cousins in his past 5 games combined only has 46 points. So it's been getting really, really ugly. The Falcons need to bounce back and get this win big time. And I'm hoping that Kirk Cousins can figure it out because it's getting really hard to rank Mooney, Drake London, and Pitts. Now, Pitts has been a goose egg for like 2 weeks straight now. So very, very tough. Kirk Cousins is struggling, but I'm still going to put them up there because the matchup is great this week. Wide receiver number 12. I love this one. And I'm still kind of high on Keenan, but I just don't know how it's going to go here with him because he's been up and down. So Keenan Allen's 32, DJ Moore is 12. This is the most advantageous matchup of the week for wide receivers. And I'm not going to put Rome Odunze up here. I know he had his 2-touchdown game last week. It's just an, I don't know, aberration between the three, and I don't know how the roulette wheel is going to play with him. So when I'm looking at the Minnesota Vikings, guys, they're dead last versus the wide receiver. They rank they give up 32nd, give up 41 points per game. 30th in the red zone at 7.7, 192.4 yards just to the wide receiver per game, which is dead last behind the Detroit Lions, who give up 185. So they're like an 8-yard average above them, 1.1 TDs, which is tied for 4th worst. You have to like the Bears in this game. The last time Caleb Williams, DJ Moore went out there and dropped 26. Keenan went out there and dropped 20. Caleb went out there and dropped 28. All within the second half. They had a terrible first half. So you're going to be in a dome this game. You're not in Chicago. No cold weather here. You have to like the Bears offense in this game because the Vikings blitz at will, and the Bears can find ways to win this game, and they got close last time. Wide receiver number 13, Amari Cooper. And I'm also going to grab Khalil Shakir here, and I really love this game, guys. So Khalil Shakir, I have at 26. I am going to rank Amari higher, although, Shakir's been the TD guy coming, because Amari saw more volume last game. He saw 14 targets, guys, against the Rams. That is Amari's biggest game, and he saw this, guys, on 53% of the snaps. So you can tell, since coming out the bye, since get traded, he has not been out there at Amari Cooper level where he plays 90, 80% like the start of the season. This will come into fruition as we get farther into the playoffs here, and this is where it starts, right? So when you're playing at 50% of the snaps, getting 14 targets, imagine him at 80, 90, which he will be here soon. He's going to see targets galore. Josh Allen is on the MVP tear. You get the Detroit Lions, and like I just said with the Minnesota Vikings, the Detroit Lions give up the second most yards in the NFL to the wide receiver position at 185.9. They also give up 37 points, which ranks 28th. So in the red zone, they're very good because they have a nasty front seven, which stops the run. So when the field shrinks in, you obviously have a better defense when it gets smaller and harder to score. But there's a 70% chance for one touchdown in this game. And when this over-under in this game is going to be super high, you're going to want every player in this game. Number 14, this one, I love this. And I love Will Levis too. But Will Levis just popped his shoulder again last week, so it makes it tough here. You get the Cincinnati Bengals for Calvin Ridley. And this is beautiful. The Cincinnati Bengals are a defense that's like almost becoming my 4th fantasy football pot of gold. They rank 22nd, giving up 33.8. They are number 1 in the red zone versus the wide receiver. They have a very good front seven, so they do stop that very well. 153.4 yards, which is middle of the pack, and 1.1 TDs. And when you're looking at Calvin Ridley, he just had his revenge game last week versus Jacksonville. Saw 12 targets, 13 points, didn't get it done. But still, since the trading of DeAndre Hopkins has been gone, he's been a viable wide receiver 2 the whole way. And when you get the Bengals here, you got to like the start. You're at home, and it looks like there could be a little rain in this game as well, too, so make sure you're checking the weather reports. But I still like 10 targets for Calvin Ridley. I still like him as a flex play. And people are overlooking the volume that this guy sees of target share, which is the top 10 wide receiver target share in the NFL, and that's what you have to have in fantasy football to win. Now, this is crazy. This is my first time all year. Number 15 and number 16. It's the first time I'm putting Jackson Smith and Jigba above DK Metcalf. I know it's crazy. It's crazy to me too as well. But you're going to get a monster game here. Sunday Night Football. Packers heading into the 12th man. 9-4, 8-5. And you just had the Rams beat my 49ers. So now the Seahawks cannot afford to lose this game. And the Packers cannot afford to lose this game. This is going to be probably my second favorite game to watch on the week. And when I'm looking at the Green Bay defense, right? So Green Bay's got a good defense, but Green Bay versus the wide receiver ranks 13th, giving up 30.6 points. But where do they really struggle? Where does DK Metcalf or J Season really have the best chance? In the red zone? They struggle heavy stopping anything in the red zone. They're 29th, giving up 7.6 points to the wide receiver, 133.1 yards, which is top 15 and a 90% chance of a touchdown. And it looks like Jair might not make it out there again, which will help again. And I like DK Metcalf and Jay Season, but it's become Jay Season over DK Metcalf, and I can't believe it. He's had his absolute breakout season. He looks phenomenal. Smooth operator, route runner. Man, you got to start both these guys if you have them. Oh, number 18, man. Can Tommy DeVito bring Malik Neighbors back to life? Can this happen? So what's happened with Malik Neighbors? And I called this since the beginning of the season. I know he had that breakout first 4 weeks that I could not believe. I just did not believe that he was wide receiver one of the first 4 weeks, which was crazy. Then he had his injury, and then the Giants became the Giants, which I thought they would do the whole time. And what Malik Neighbors has become now is just a floor play of about 10 to 12 points. So if that's what you want, I'm not against flexing him or wide receiver twoing him, if you need to throw him out there. But guys, he hasn't broken 20 points since week 5 or since week 4. So you're looking at 10 weeks of just 8, 14, 14, 10, 12, 15, 14, which that's fine. I mean, that's not a bad play at all. I'm not saying that. It just really sucks because he's such an electric superstar. Just give this man a quarterback and everything will change, which is what I said when the Giants drafted him in the NFL draft. I was like, dude, it sucks that Malik Neighbors went to the Giants, man. Number 19, it looks like he's back and ready to rock. We're going to stick with the rookies here. We're going to go Ladd McConkey. And Ladd McConkey practice Thursday, practice Friday, still questionable, but he's going to be out there. You get the Kansas City Chiefs, guys. So here's the interesting part here, why I like this so much. So the Kansas City Chiefs on the season right now, we're going to do 2-part here. They rank 18th. They give up 32.2. In the red zone, they are 31st. So very high touchdown upside for the wide receivers in this game. 1.1 TDs a game to the wide receivers, so very high. And 134 yards, so it's middle of the pack there. But we're going to compare here. So that's on the season. This is the past 4 weeks. The past 4 weeks, they're giving up 38.7. So when you look at 32.6, that is a 6.5 average, which is about 24 points more in the past 4 weeks they're giving up to the wide receiver. You have to like Ladd McConkey in this game. It's a big division rivalry game. Chargers need to get back on track here and get this win, and they always play the Chiefs tough. So I expect Justin Herbert to feed him. Number 20, and this one was really hard for me, man. Marvin Harrison has just been a struggle. He's just not been what the draft pick or the draft capital you wanted to be. So Marvin Harrison Jr. has only broken 20 points twice in fantasy football. Over the past, 3 out of the past 5 weeks, he's been under 10 points, which is absolutely crazy. You get the New England Patriots. So when you look at the Patriots, let's break this down here 2 ways as well. You're going to get the Patriots, who rank 21st, giving up 33.7, 27th in the red zone, so the touchdown upside is high, 153 yards, which is bottom 15 and 1 touchdown. But you're going to get Marvin Harrison shadowed by Christian Gonzalez in this game, which is really going to hamper him a lot. So that's why I really, really like Trey McBride as my tight end 1 this week, but we'll get to that in my tight end video. And it's just hard to trust this guy right now. I mean, it's honestly like he's become boom or bust. So, I mean, you have week 1 point, 33, 17, 15. That's a good start right there. He starts to get a little momentum. Then he goes 5, 0, 5. So you're back to nothing. Then he goes boom game, 23. Then back to 3. Then decent at 16. Then back to 7. Then decent at 17. Back to 8. It's like, it's so hard to trust this guy. That's why I'm putting him at 20, but I love the talent. Number 21. And this is probably my lowest ranking of Terry McLaurin I've ever done. And it has nothing to do with the matchup here. The matchup is absolutely great. You get the New Orleans Saints. He's been killing it the past 2 weeks before 25 and 27 as well. And the New Orleans Saints versus the wide receiver ranked 26th, giving up 35.8, 5th in the red zone, 174 yards, which is bottom 5. But it just looks like one of those game scripts where I don't think they're going to need to pass much here, because the Saints are going to have Jake Haener out there. They've lost Olave. They've lost Shaheed. I mean, they traded away Lattimore. Their team is just done. They're just playing for next year, and the Commanders are fighting for a playoff spot. So I feel like if he doesn't score early, it could be an ugly game down the stretch. I mean, that's the only reason I have him so low. I really love everything about this game. I just don't like the game script. You're still starting Terry McLaurin as a solid wide receiver too. Wide receiver 23, the man that is absolutely on fire, Jerry Jeudy, has just been, since the trade, it's just been absolutely dominant for the Cleveland Browns. I mean, 30, 14, 45, 17. Now you get Kansas City, but here's why I'm ranking him lower this week, right? And you're gonna be like, why is Jerry Jeudy so low? You're getting the Kansas City Chiefs, right? So I think I talked about, oh my God, I did Lab McConkey versus the Kansas City Chiefs. I absolutely messed that up, guys. Let me backtrack here. I don't know why I said that. I completely wrong game here. It's early in the morning. I'm not awake yet. I'm trying to crank these out. They get the Buccaneers way off back to Lab McConkey. So let's wind it back here. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, guys, are terrible versus the wide receiver. They're ranked 25th, 35.1. 155.9 yards, which is bottom of the pack. So smash Lab McConkey into your lineup, just like the Chiefs, though, as well. But now when we're looking at Jerry Jeudy, now think of all that Chief stuff I said. So on the season, they've been good versus the wide receiver, but in the past 4 weeks, they've been averaging way worse. But when you're the focal point of this offense and there's no other help out there, so David Njoku is out, Tillman is out again, it's going to be a different look here, and the Chiefs know how to take away the number one. That's the only reason I'm kind of lower on Jerry Jeudy this week, is because I think it's going to be a way tougher matchup for him. Although the Chiefs defense has been struggling versus the wide receiver, he's just the only one out there, so it makes it tough. Sorry about that. I messed that up. Wide receiver 24, Josh Downs, back off the injury. And I mean, this one is like a weird way to look at it here, because Denver, they're going to get the Denver Broncos here, and they're coming off a bye. But the week before the bye, Denver had just let Jameis Winston drop 500 yards on them. Now, I know that's different than Anthony Richardson. I know that he's a dual threat quarterback and, not a full gunslinger like Jameis Winston. But whenever you have Josh Downs out there, he makes this offense. He's like the glue to the Colts offense, and he loves to get targeted by Anthony Richardson. And you're not going to have Surtain on him. You'll have Surtain more on Pittman. So when you're looking at the Denver Broncos defense, they're 12th versus the wide receiver, giving up 31.1, 4th in the red zone, very good. 153.1 yards and a 50% chance of a touchdown. But after Jameis Winston just dropped 50, I like Josh Downs over Pittman, because that's why Pittman's not in my top 36. And Josh Downs is, because he's going to play the slot. And Surtain is going to be on Pittman more this week. Number 25, the Goose Egg Reed, man. It really, really stung last week. I had him as a smash play. The matchup was absolutely great versus Detroit. And he played 50% snaps, the lowest on the season. The usage was not there. He only had 1 target. And I feel like it's like that game where you're going to bench him because he gave you a 0, and then he's going to pop off for Seattle. And I'm not saying to start him in any single way right now, because it's very risky. But Seattle gives up 31.8. They rank 14th, 136.2 yards, middle of the pack, 1 TD there. The over-under in this game is going to be high. Everything looks like Jaden Reed's a smash play, but Romeo Dobbs is back as well. That might help out Reed a little bit to get more loose and find some space. Very hard to trust right now, man. Very, very hard to trust with Jaden Reed. But I'm going to put him at 25, and that's the lowest I've ranked him all year long. Number 27 is going to be Brian Thomas Jr., and the floodgates just opened up for Brian Thomas Jr., but it just sucks because you have no Trevor Lawrence. You have Mac Jones. He still had a decent game last week with 12 targets, 10 targets before that. He's going to see all the volume. Evan Ingram is now out for the year. You have Christian Kirk, who's also gone. Gabe Davis is also gone. He's the only Jags wide receiver they have. Maybe Parker Washington, if you want to say that. But, I mean, you're going to get the New York Jets. It's a very tough matchup. He's probably going to be the focal point, kind of like Jerry Jeudy. They're going to key on him, so it's going to be a tougher game for him now. And the New York Jets, they rank 3rd, giving up 28.3, 14th in the red zone, 132 yards, and a 60% chance of a touchdown. I really love the volume he's going to see. It's kind of like Jerry Jeudy in this game. They're the only guys out there, and it could be a different game plan against them. Number 29, and I'm going to check this as we're looking at it right now. I haven't seen the Aiden O'Connell. I know he didn't practice yesterday. Misses practice Friday, still questionable, so no update today. So if Aiden O'Connell's out there, I would rise up Jacoby Myers a ton, right? Because you're getting the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons defense on the season versus the wide receiver right now, guys, is 31st. They give up 40.6 points, 32nd in the red zone, dead last at 11.5, which is 4 points average over anybody else. That's how bad it is. And 164 yards, which is bottom 10. But if Desmond Ridder is out there, you saw Brock Bowers become nothing, become the Michael Mayer show. Jacoby Myers, it's just tough with Desmond Ridder at quarterback. I've seen him too many times. But if Aiden O'Connell fights his way to play in this game, I love Jacoby Myers, and I would move him up a lot. Number 34 is going to be DeAndre Hopkins, recently acquired by the Chiefs, and he's going to get his chance to play for a Super Bowl this season. Got out of Tennessee, thank God. And he's been a nice player over the past 3 weeks. And he's only played 55% of the snaps on average. So he still had 9 targets, 6 targets. That's what you want. 14 points, 13 points, 13 points. 2 TDs out of the past 3 games he's played. Cleveland Browns have really been hemorrhaging points to the wide receiver. 34.3, 23rd. They also rank 8th in the red zone, 159 yards, but 1.2 TDs, which is bottom 5, tied there as well. So you can expect DeAndre Hopkins to have another great chance for a touchdown in this game. Just depends on the game script for me because the Cleveland Browns are missing a lot of pieces this week. Number 36, Zay Flowers. You guys can be like, why is Zay Flowers so low? Because I don't think Zay Flowers is going to be used a lot in this game. You're getting the New York Giants. You got the worst offense in the NFL you're going up against. Derrick Henry has the plus matchup to the max, so they could just probably King Henry pound the hell out of the Giants here. And I don't think Zay Flowers is going to need a lot of usage here. He might be like a 6-8 point play unless he pops, a big one, which he could do any game, right? That's always there. But that's what he's kind of become. It's like a boomer bust kind of. His floor has been all right at 11, 11, 11, 11, 7, But then there's a 33, then there's 4, there's 23, then there's 19, there's 2, and there's 5. So it's like up and down, but we've had a little steady 10-point climb here. You're getting the ugliest matchup, man. The Giants are so bad. It's just tough to rank Zay Flowers and throw him out there as a confident start because you don't know if he's even going to need to be used in this game. That's the only thing I'm worried about. That's why I have him at 36 this week. Thanks for rocking with me today, guys. That is the end of the episode. That is my Week 15 playoff opening wide receiver top 36 ranking, guys. Before we head out, do me a favor. Click that like button. Make sure you smash that subscription. I will be live tonight on Big Draft Energy Show, and then we will have the kickoff morning show tomorrow, Sunday morning, for all the games and stuff like that. You guys bring all your questions. If you guys cannot make any of those shows, you can always drop any comment you want down below. Again, that's one of my goals as a content creator, to answer every single one to help you guys get that ultimate goal of that championship this season. And we are now going to be dropping our tight end rankings right after this, guys. So I will have all of them out. And then I promise next week I'll have them all out before Thursday. It was just a different week for me here this week. But at least they're all out. And that's it for me in this video, man. Hope to see you guys in the next one or in one of the live streams this weekend. Sleazeball out.